Oh my God!
What's up, guys? It's Benny. I'm going to say something that might get me canceled here. Please don't unsubscribe, but America is finally listening to Rachel Ziegler and doing exactly as she asks. In this clip from the 2024 election, Rachel Ziegler says that she doesn't need our money.
Come on. Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
Oh, well, you know what? It turns out that that country, and by the way, we just hide it one more time. That country doesn't want to give business to Rachel Ziegler. Here is the 7:30 p.m. Saturday night, perfect time to go see a movie, the big feature, $300 million Disney tentpole princess, Snow White. 0 tickets sold. 0. 0 tickets sold at the local IMAX here. 0. There you go. You got nothing. Not even the handicap chairs, which, you know, judging by the way things are going for Snow White, you'd assume be the people that would want to definitely go see that. You'd have to have something wrong. There is a silver lining to all of this, which is that Disney was so smart in making sure that Rachel Ziegler could never speak to a camera again. And Disney succeeded in making sure that there were no more viral clips of Rachel Ziegler telling people to not give Disney money. But it's not just Rachel Ziegler who's doing all of this. Of course, critics will see the movie once and for all and will be able to render their verdicts. Now, Nerdrotic notes here that there is an embargo, which the studio, of course, has a right to do. For the privilege of going in and seeing the movie early, the critics get an embargo or being sent a copy of the movie. That's how they do it sometimes. Then you watch the movie, it's watermarked, and then you can write your critique. That embargo was a day before the movie comes out. Comes out tomorrow. Midnight tomorrow. And so the embargo ends today for reviews. Now, again, let me just, before we get to the actual reviews here, let me establish, you don't normally do this. If you have a winning movie, a good movie, if you're making Top Gun, right, or whatever, Top Gun Maverick, then you end the embargo on the reviews like a month ahead of time, so that the critics can like hype it up. Wow, this has 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Wow, it's like the newest blockbuster. It's going to be so good. It's critic bait, right? Sometimes the critics and the audience match up. Sometimes they don't. Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't think it'd be this bad. Hot damn. Look at this. Well, is this where you thought it'd end up? 45% on the tomato meter. 45% with the hand-selected, hand-chosen critics who are probably getting big swag bags and free tickets to Disneyland, right? Probably getting their little mouse ears from Disney, free popcorn. Disney doing everything they can to grease the wheels for these people. And this is what their hand-selected critics render. How bad is this thing? My goodness. Here we go. This is the live Disney Snow White Rotten Tomatoes critics reviews. Shall we read some of them? Let's just go ahead and down to some of the people that are adding to the negative 40 percentile for the movie. With an uneven combination of forgettable music, bland choreography, and a few genuine laughs, Snow White fails to maintain its footing. This is a film that tries very hard to not take risks or even acknowledge that risks exist. The result is a hodgepodge of awful CGI, contrived new songs, and a story full of plot and lacking in substance. This reimagining of a story everyone knows lacks imagination. essentially translating to a solid text with the least possible creativity and depth. Most distracting flaws are rooted in the problematic recreation of animated material. The permanent magic hour lighting is hard to look at. Worst of all, the decisions to cartoonize the dwarves along with human actors is hugely problematic. These are the top critics here. A fascinating case study in today's impossible contradictions, a magic mirror reflecting the tensions of current times. Yikes. Some parts of the film work better than others, and none of it has the sweetness and imagination of the animated feature. This Snow White is not the fairest of them all. It's, well, just fair. Yikes. Ooh, brutal. While it's a magically mixed bag, most of it works wonderfully, says one fresh reviewer. Okay, fine. Aside from Rachel Zegler's powerhouse performance, there's little else to enjoy from the clumsy, poorly conceived, and cynical live-action Disney remake. Even Gal Gadot's hilariously bad line reads are not worth the trip to the theater. Yikes. One more. This surprisingly underwhelming live-action interpretation of the classic cartoon feels more like an unfunny, overly long, pre-recorded SNL skit than something we'd call magical. Brutal. Yikes. Woof. My timeline being flooded with reviews of Snow White, and all of them are praising Rachel Zegler. That doesn't seem suspicious at all. Yeah, this is what people were saying, that the Snow White, there was like clearly an op for Disney to shove fake Snow White reviews onto the internet. I don't know if your timeline looked like mine early this week, but that's what they were doing. It's diabolical. Snow White review, one more boring, mediocre live-action Disney retread. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the laziest of them all? That'd be Disney for creatively starved studio that has seemingly lost all ability or inclination to make new hits and would rather rifle through its back catalog instead. This time, the House of Mouse has gone back to its full-length feature from 1937, Snow White. The result? Hi-ho-hum. The timeless classic, groundbreaking achievement for animation, has been turned into another pointless and awkward live-action automaton that vanishes from your mind the second it's over. Freaking brutal here. Modernizing the lovably retro Snow White was a dopey idea to begin with, and while the execution isn't horrible, the formulaic update is sleepy. I can't wait for all the emails calling me grumpy, and whilst I work. The original was charming as the prince, wholesome and relatively modest story that of household chores and dancing. For 2025, director Mark Webb and writer Aaron Casidra Wilson have puffed it up into Disney's usual contemporary romance featuring a dusting of action and a jab of empowerment. In the version, the evil queen not only torments her fairest of them all stepdaughter, Rachel Zegler, she so envies, but is an oppressive monarch who's forced all of her male subjects to become soldiers. The formerly lovely village was Technicolor when Snow White's parents were alive, but since the mean queen rolled in, it's grayscale, it's Pleasantville. Snow White can't just ride off into the sunset with her man anymore. She needs to wake up and save the kingdom from the vain witch. Ziegler adds a hint of edge to the sweet Snow, has a nice pop of a voice that's different from what we heard in A West Side Story. I certainly prefer her as a Disney princess to a Shakespearean actor. And ideally cast Gadot is more fun than you'd expect, and the beautiful narcissist, apple-clutching old lady, she finds more personality in those parts than she ever did in Wonder Woman. Prince Charming is a small role in the cartoon, gets the hook. Instead, Snow White's love interest is a pauper, of course. A Robin Hood-style thief who heads up a group of oppressed. What a disaster. Unlike the 1937, when the duo didn't speak to each other, Snow White and Jonah flirt in the woods and have a duet. No crown, of course, means that some day my prince will come. The pretty melody is missed. But don't worry, the movie is not so 2025 that Snow White, relieved of her true love's handshake. The worst thing about Snow White, unbelievably, are the dwarves. The dwarves, in an out-of-their-mind choice, Disney has animated the septet of miners in a creepy lawn gnomes, ostensibly people. The guys look more fake than the smiling squirrels and birds in the forest. The filmmaker obviously had no clue how to handle Snow's cottage pals, so they took the most off-putting path possible. Their jokes are never funny. Okay. My wish is that the compositions had been in a totally new movie rather than a retread. In the post-review of 1937 film, critic Archer Weinstein correctly wrote, its release marks a new epoch for color and sound of cartoon. In 2025, I'd say its release marks another unnecessary live-action remake that's not good as the original. Brutal! Just brutal. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's over. It's over. Debuting at 43%, it means it's over. Rachel Ziegler CGI dwarfs are horrifying and the rest of the movie is awful. Snow White reviews summed up. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the moment that we've all been waiting for. The time for this movie to just fail. $300 million, a year of reshoots, actors turning on each other, Rachel Ziegler being flown 5,000 miles away for the premiere by herself with no other actors involved, Disney scaling back the premiere and banning actual journalists, banning their actors and actresses from talking. They know this is a nightmare, it's a disaster, and it's just the turd that won't flush. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, it's all going down. Oh, and it's going to be glorious. I'm not going to go see it, but I'm going to enjoy the reactions online. Can't wait to see this one fail. Rachel Ziegler got her wish. Nobody saw her movie. We unsubscribed, and she doesn't need the business. Okay. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.